pretty handy little exercise, this one. Sums and products of functions and addition of ordinates. Now, what addition of ordinates will do is help you sketch functions that you are not sure about, or you're not sure what they look like. So an example of this is if f of x equals x and g of x equals e to the x, find f of x and g of x and sketch the graphs. Okay, so, or sketch the graph rather. So we're going to say that f of x plus g of x equals e to the x plus x. Now this could be feasibly one graph that VCAR will ask you to sketch or imagine. And how do you know what it looks like? Well, you'll always notice that the two graphs that they get you to, or the graph that they get you to sketch, you'll know one of them. Okay, so we know how to sketch e to the x and we know how to sketch x, and what we can do is use this technique of addition of ordinates to actually put them together. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now what we can see is that here's x, so here's x and here's e to the x, and we're going to go 0 and 1 is 1, so we can see that the y-intercept straight away is going to be that. Now I'm going to go to this point here, so the distance here is 1. So what we're going to do is tack 1 onto roughly what is 2.7, which will get us up to about 3.7. And we can kind of see that, like, what's going to happen, this is going to stay linear, and this is going to, so we're going to have a linear onto an exponential, so it's just going to get larger and larger. So it's going to go like that, okay, except through that point there. All right, now what about this side here? Well, what I usually do is I look for equal distance positive and negative to find x-intercepts, so it's going to be around about here. And you can see here that as this graph gets smaller and smaller in terms of its y values, we're going to have just a small y value tacked onto this negative x value. So it's going to be just a little bit higher than this line here. So this positive value, which is almost 0, is added onto this negative value here. So let's just go almost nothing added on to -3 will be somewhere up here. So basically what's going to happen is the function is going to come down through the x-intercept and then run along this line here. Now you'd have to smooth that up a lot more, okay, and then get it to go through that point there. And that would be a good way of trying to sketch a function like this one here. So again, by itself, I'm not sure what e to the x plus x looks like, but I do know what e to the x looks like, and I do know what x looks like. So I sketch both of them and then just use the technique of addition of ordinates to, I suppose, stick them together. So try that a few times with just these 3 questions from exercise 7C.